there, welcome back. Today I'm here with a double bill of Jetee and Sans Soleil. This is from the Criterion collection, but this was available before on DVD and non-Criterion, but the Criterion I've given a new release with some extras. I've watched the films but haven't watched the extras, but you get a nice little booklet with it and you get various things in it in the disc, but I was buying it for the films. Extras are nice, but for me getting films in HD was the big thing, because my DVD I had was from years ago and there was like I think it came fairly early in DVD, so it was not the best quality, so it was actually nice to have a Criterion remaster of these films. Now Chris Marker is one of my favourite directors. He is wonderful. He's a very complicated figure. He's this lefty French director who made mainly non-fiction films, and basically the films about his impressions of different cultures. He would travel a lot and create impressions of life and how life's lived in different areas. There was a Blu-ray DVD combo, the best of Chris Marker, released a couple of years ago that I got, that I'm going to rewatch again and for videos. This is Sans Soleil and Jetee are two of his most famous films. He made other ones that were less famous but are still very good, but these were the famous ones. Jetee is the more famous one because it influenced a lot of films, because it's a time travel fiction film. It's only like 25 minutes long. It's full of lots of photographs with only one moving shot. There's only one moving shot where someone moves. The rest of it is photographs, and it's about memory, and it's about your perception of time. But it's a film that influenced stuff like Terminator. It was remade or expanded upon for 12 Monkeys. And the idea is this man goes back in a future where humanity has collapsed. A man goes back in time to save the world, to stop something from happening, to help get information that would help the future evolve out of its cul-de-sac it's in at the moment, and stop a past from happening that would cause disaster. That's what he thinks he's doing. And in fact, all he's doing is helping the past continue, helping the path of what's going to happen. It's like, but the idea of this is it's about going back into your memories and becoming a figure within your memories to try and find information out that will help. And it's almost like going into your own memories, time traveling within your own head, and coming out with what stuff you remember, and that's where you can time travel to. It's very complicated. It's all about memory, and did he actually time travel, or is it just all a memory? Is it all a dream? And he remembers as a child seeing a man shot at the Jetee, which is this area where the planes take off, and it turns out in his mind, he fell in love with a woman. He time travelled back in time, fell in love with a woman, and the person, he tried to escape from his own constricted cage of what the people in the future wanted me to do, and he ended up getting shot by them. So the person he saw die was himself. Now, of course, was that a dream? Is he interpreting that and putting his own interpretation onto that to suggest he actually went back and fell in love, or did it actually happen? Or what does this mean for the future? Because there's also visions going towards the future of where mankind's going beyond the disaster of his time. So instead, a lot of films have taken a time travel element of going back to the past to try and save the past, like Terminator did, and did well in the first two films, then buggered up. Or 12 Monkeys, where it's about trying to save the past, but it turns out you can't because the past already happened, so you're trapped in a loop, so you just try to find out information. In this one, it's even more ambiguous. It's like, did any of this actually happen? Was it a dream? And what does it mean for the future? And how do people imagine the past? And how do people experience the past? And how does the past interact? How does your idea of the future interact with your present as well? So it's a more ambiguous idea of what your dreams are and what your hopes are, and how does science fiction tie into that, and what does stories will tell yourself tie into that. And it's a very complicated story and But it's not just complicating the story, it's complicating the emotion it brings up within the storytelling. This is the most complicated version of this story. I mean, other films have much longer running times, but they don't get into the crux of what does the past mean to you, what does the future mean to you, what does a present that feels like there's nothing there for you do to you, like how does that affect your interpretation of the past, interpretation of the future, like how does that affect a human being? And what Chris Marker's so good at is like how does the present, how does what you feel affect you, and what does it do to you? And this leads me on to Sans Soleil. Sans Soleil is a travelogue basically where Marker travels around Japan and around some African countries, and it's his interpretation of Japan, interpretation of culture, interpretation of what culture means to different people, what is a traveller in a foreign land, how does they interpret the land, and how does they interpret what the people are about, and how it's all tied to what you bring to it. So he's a woman reading the notes of a traveller given his name, but it's obviously Chris Marker's interpretation of what he sees. So it's a fictional non-fiction film, because it's insisting on the idea that we bring something fictional to it, like our interpretation is the fictional thing. It's we are sorting images that either we've shot or other people have shot, and we interpret it our own way. We bring it together to create its own meaning, and so cultures can rise in different ways and fall in different ways, interpret things in different ways, and you can interpret certain social structures, like someone in Japan that's a social instinct, that they understand what they mean from it, and you can understand what you think they mean from it and what you think it actually means, and it's all about, there's no one interpretation, and the ideal life is the various interpretations, and how that evolves through different things you see, through different cultures, through different habits and different ways of expressing themselves. So how Japan can have a very modern world view, it's industrial, it's trying to move forward, but also got its own tradition that they stick to. So they have a day where the young women go in their kimonos, but the rest of the time they don't, and it's like, how do the women now interpret the old society and the new society within Japanese culture, and because they're in a no man's land in between now, and how does different other cultures interpret what their traditions were and what their future ambitions are. And it's a film about basically how you interpret the world, how you interpret what you see of the world. That's a very complicated film to talk about. There's lots of travelogue things. I thought I'd have more, when I first saw it, I thought I'd have a much surer view of what it was about than I do after watching it again. Like, I think I know what it's about, and it feels deeper the second time round, but it's also more confusing because I'm not sure, maybe my idea of society's got more confused, or maybe my initial interpretation of it was more naive, I don't know, but it feels more complicated now, and I don't have a definite view of this is what it's about, but it just, what I've said feels like what it's about to me was the idea of there's no one simplistic way to view society, it's evolving, and we're bringing so much to it, and there's no one objective thing, like we're bringing our own fiction to any society, to any image we bring up. So having a travelogue of images and then having an interpretation of those images cannot create one simplistic view of the world or a view of what you're watching. Instead it creates a lot of various interpretations of what it means that you're experiencing minute by minute, which leads to a feeling at the end of the film of what this world is that can only be really done in filmmaking. It can't really be expressed in this kind of video. And some of the images that Marker uses weren't stuff he shot. He shot a lot of it himself, and he showed you how putting images through and other interpretations, like image works that manipulate the imagery, changes its meaning, so you're getting more distance from what the original image meant as you watch it being manipulated through like things that make it more surreal and less human looking. And what does that mean to you as well? and it creates this interpretation, reinterpretation. So some of the footage he's doing that to is his, and some of it's not. And some of the film footage you're seeing that feels naturalistic is his, and some of it's not. So even the footage is something that's authored by him, something that's not. And what does it matter? And it's various different interpretations of what people are seeing, seen through the eyes of the camera, but then also seen through the interpretation of a person seeing this society and how they interpret it through their own experiences. So it creates this whole thing of, is your experience right, or is it wrong, or is it just complicated and it's a mix of different people's experiences that you'll never get a centre to? It's always going to be a variety of different views that you never quite work out. See, it's all very complicated. That's what's wonderful about Marker, it's very complicated. So even if you think you understand it the first time, when you watch it again you're going to have a different interpretation of it. So that's why he's such a worthwhile director, and why he's worth seeing his films. It's why it's worth buying this, because this seems like, because one's 25 minutes long, one's like an hour 20 or something. So the running time's not that long. But it's a lot of rewatchability about it, and try and interpret it and try and find your own interpretation of it. So it's definitely worth the money because it's very complicated and it's unique and it's different from anything you'll see. And then it will lead you, if you like it, to buy more Marker stuff, which I highly recommend. So this has been my very confused, very difficult to talk about Chris Marker, of which there will be more. Because I'm trying to get to grips with Chris Marker this year, so it's very complicated. But these films are great. I'd highly recommend buying them. It's great to see Criterion doing these releases. This is a great thing to do, to have these out on Blu-ray, because they're just wonderful. So bye for now. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you later with another video. Okay, bye.